Armstrong, and this is Pointless, the quiz show where the lowest scorers are the biggest winners. To stay in the game, our contestants need to score as few points as possible, and the way they do that is by giving those obscure answers that no one else can remember. We've asked all our questions on Pointless to 100 people before the show. All our contestants have to do is find those little-known answers that as few as possible of our 100 people gave. So, for example, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many artists that have performed a Bond theme as they could, and we found out that 87 of them said Shirley Bassey, an obvious answer that would score you a horribly high 87 points. However, only 40 of them said Duran Duran, a lesser-known artist that would score you a respectably low 40 points. Now, occasionally there are even some answers that none of our 100 people could name. So, for example, none of them said Rita Coolidge. So that would have been a truly pointless artist and would score you absolutely nothing. There you are. That's exactly what you want. So if you find any of those, we will add £250 to today's jackpot. So, before we go any further, let's meet today's players. Welcome, Philip and Ant. You are our first pair on the show. How do you two know each other?
We're best friends in school.
Well, let's hope you're still best friends after today's contest. Very best of luck to you. On to our next pair, Nicola and Robert. You are the second pair today. Welcome to the show. How do you two know each other?
We met while studying at Cambridge, and we've been going out for the past 8 years.
Very good. You weren't on the University Challenge team by any chance, were you?
No, and I think today will prove why.
Well, very best of luck to you both. Malcolm and Mike, you are our third pair today. Welcome to the show. How do you two know each other?
We've known each other for about 20 years, various quiz leagues, and drinking, of course.
I like the of course there. Quiz leagues.
Yeah, local pub leagues.
Very good. 20 years in local pub leagues. I think you're going to have picked up quite a lot. And welcome back to our fourth pair today, Jason and Steve. Now, everyone gets 2 chances to reach the Pointless final, and this is your final chance. Remind us who you are.
I'm Jason, this is Steve. We've known each other for about 20 years, and hopefully we'll be doing better than I did in the last round.
Very good. Well, best of luck. You've both worn your lucky lilac shirts today. I hope that, I hope that gets you through at least to the head-to-head. And welcome back to Jane and Joanne. This is your second and final time on the show. Remind us how you two know each other.
Met about 20 years ago. Jane gay crashed one of my makeup parties. We've been friends ever since.
Excellent. Best of luck. Of course, there is one final person I must introduce to you. He is my pointless friend, Richard. He's the keeper of all the facts and figures. How are you, Richard?
Yeah, very well. Raring to go. As you say, I've got all the facts and figures here. I've got all the questions on today's show. I've also got all the answers on today's show. At the end of each round, I'll go through all the pointless answers. Those are the best answers you can possibly get on this show. It's things that none of our 100 have said, the pointless stuff. I'll also be going through the most obvious answers, the things that everybody said, which are the worst things, of course, you can say. And I always say it, because it's always true, you don't know any of the questions or any of the answers on today's show. That look of cluelessness is absolutely natural.
Last time, finalists Mark and Debbie failed to win the jackpot of £2,250. The jackpot hasn't been won in the last 2 shows, so it rolls over, and today's jackpot total stands at £3,250. Now, we really are hoping that one of our pairs will be taking that home at the end of today's show. And remember, if you find some pointless answers along the way, each one of those will add £250 to that amount. Let's play Pointless. In the first round, each of you must give me one answer, and you cannot confer with your partner. You will score 1 point for every one of the 100 people that gave that same answer. And remember, this is pointless, so you're trying to find the least well-known answers and score the fewest points. Now, if anyone gives me an incorrect answer, they will score the maximum of 100 points, so please be careful. If you do give an incorrect answer, this will happen. You really don't want to see that. At the end of the round, your combined scores will be totalled up, and the highest scoring pair will be eliminated. Only 2 pairs make it through to our head-to-head semi-final, so the pressure is really on. OK, our first category is Europe. Can you all decide in your pairs who's going to go first? OK, right, whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. OK, let's find out what our first question is going to be. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many countries of Europe as they could. Richard, that sounds quite simple to me. It can't be, though, can it?
Well, it's fairly simple. We're looking for any country which is either wholly or even partly in Europe. As always, by country, we mean a sovereign state that's a member of the UN. There are, unbelievably, 48 countries in Europe.
Philip and Ant, before the show, you all drew lots, and today it turns out you will be starting us off. So, Ant, give me a country in Europe. The more obscure, the better.
Well, geography isn't my strong point, so I'm going to go with Slovenia.
Slovenia. Of course, if that's a wrong answer, you will score the maximum 100 points. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Slovenia. Well, it's a correct answer. Oh, it's good. Very good. Look at that. Well, that means that only 2 of our 100 people said Slovenia, and that gives you a score of 2. Good going. On to our next pair. Right, Nicola, what are you going to say?
Alexander, I think I'm going to go for Slovakia.
The other Slav. OK. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Slovakia. It's a correct answer. Oh, it's good. It's another very good one. 4. That means that 4 out of our 100 people said Slovakia. That gives you a score of 4. OK, on to our third pair. Malcolm, what are you going to say? We are looking for countries of Europe.
I'll go for Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein. Very good. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Liechtenstein. It's a right answer. It's another Lowy. Oh, look at that. That means that 6 of our 100 people said Liechtenstein. I'm liking these factors of 2. 2, 4, 6, they go. All good low scores. On to our fourth pair. Jason, we are looking for countries of Europe.
I'm going to go for Estonia.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Estonia. That's a correct answer. Down it goes. Fantastic. That means 8 of our 100 people said Estonia, and you still haven't broken our factors of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8. Read the scores. On to our fifth pair. Joanne, you're going to go for 10, I'm guessing.
Alexander, I wish I'd watched the Eurovision Song Contest now. I really do. I'm going to go with, hopefully no point, Croatia.
Croatia. OK, let's see how many of our 100 people said Croatia. Another low scorer. Well, that means 13 of our 100 people said Croatia. 2, 4, 6, 8, 13 is where we stand. We're halfway through the round. Let's just have a look at the scoreboard, remind ourselves of where we are. Philip and Ant looking very strong on only 2 there. You keep up that low scoring and you're definitely through to the next round. Things looking a little bit more shaky for Jane and Joanne on 13. That's still a low score, but you are, I'm afraid, our front runners score-wise. So you have to score as low as you can on the next pass and hope everyone scores as high as possible. OK, we're going to come back down the line. Can the second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Jane, we're looking for countries of Europe. You are currently our high scorers, you and Joanne on 13, so you've got to try and score as little as you possibly can.
I'm going to go for Poland.
OK, Poland. You've got to hope that Poland is one of those answers that our 100 weren't thinking of. How many of our 100 went with Poland? OK, that means that 29 of our 100 people said Poland. That takes your score up to 42. OK, Steve and Jason. Steve, you are currently on 8. Our current high scorers are Jane and Joanne on 42. You want to be scoring 33 or less to avoid being the new high scorers and risk being eliminated.
I think I'll go for Andorra.
OK, you're going to go for Andorra. There is the safety line. You want to be below that line to be absolutely sure of staying on. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Andorra? It's a correct answer. You're through. Oh, it's a good answer. Look at that. That means that 8 of our 100 people said Andorra. That brings your total up to 16. You are definitely going through to the next round. On to our next pair. Mike, you are currently on 6. The high scorers at the moment are Jane and Joanne on 42. To be absolutely safe and not to overtake their high score, you want to be scoring 35 or less.
I'll go with Lithuania.
OK, we're looking for countries of Europe. You've gone for Lithuania. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Lithuania. It's the right answer. You're through. Very good. That means 9 of our 100 people said Lithuania. That takes your score up to 15. Oh, Jane and Joanne. Feeling a little bit out on a limb there. 42, you're way ahead of everyone. On to our penultimate pair. Robert. As I say, Jane and Joanne are our high scorers at the moment on 42. To be absolutely safe and to avoid being eliminated, you want to be scoring 37 or less so you don't overtake their high score. What are you going to say?
It's a tricky one, but so far people don't seem to be very good with countries beginning with L. So I'm going to go with Latvia.
Latvia. There is the red line. You score below that red line, and you are definitely through to the next round. Above that red line, and you are vulnerable. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Latvia. It's a correct answer. You're through. And it's good. Look at that, 10. That means 10 of our 100 people said Latvia. That brings your score up to 14. And finally, Philip and Ant, you are currently our low scorers on 2. Jane and Joanne remain our high scorers on 42. You have to score 39 or less to remain in the game.
I'm hoping no one's thought of this. I'm going to go for Moldova.
Moldova. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Moldova. There is the red line. You have to come below that, above that red line, and it will be you leaving the show at the end of this round. Of course, if that's a wrong answer, you will score the maximum 100 points. Let's see how many of our 100 went with Moldova. Well, it's a right answer. It's good. Oh, it's very good. Look at that. Well, that means that none of our 100 people said Moldova, and it adds £250 to today's jackpot. Now standing at £3,500. Very good indeed. That gives you a total of 2 after you've both answered. So at the end of round 1, the losing pair with the highest score, I'm afraid, are Jane and Joanne. Girls, I'm sorry. That was just a tough one, wasn't it? As you said, you should have watched Eurovision more.
I don't do geography.
Oh, dear. That's tough. Now the pressure's off. You're thinking of lots of other European countries you should have gone with.
Czech Republic? No?
Czech Republic, you see.
Luxembourg.
Luxembourg. Ah, they're all coming in now. Richard, what should they have said?
Well, you should have said Czech Republic. Would have got you 9 points, Czech Republic, which would have been a great answer. There were 6 pointless answers. These are the answers that none of our 100 people could remember. Armenia is pointless. Azerbaijan, Bosnia and Herzegovina, only counts as 1. Georgia
yes.
was a pointless answer. Macedonia, and Philip, of course, gave us Moldova, which is a pointless answer.
Very good.
I'd say the United Kingdom came
Yes.
17th. If you'd said United Kingdom, you'd have actually got less points than saying Poland.
Wow.
There you go. The 3 worst things you could have said. Jane and Joanna, do you want to have a go at the worst possible things before we leave you?
Spain,
France, Germany.
You're always brilliant at the worst 3. It's Spain 3rd, Germany 2nd, and our old friends, the French, in 1st.
Thanks, Richard. Jane and Joanne, that was your second and final chance on the show. I'm afraid you just didn't have that pointless European knowledge you needed to get through to our final. So we do have to say goodbye, but thanks so much for playing. You've been great.
Thank you.
But for the remaining 4 pairs, it's time for round 2. OK, guys, the round 2 category is television. OK, can you decide in your pairs who's going to go first and who's going to go second? And having decided, could the first player please step up to the podium? Now, remember, Pointless is all about scoring the fewest points. So you're looking for those answers that the fewest of our 100 people said. OK, let's find out what the question is. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many presenters of Blue Peter since 1958 as they could. Richard, elaborate.
There have been 34 regular presenters of Blue Peter since 1958, so we just need the most obscure ones.
So, Philip and Anne, you are first. What are you going to go for?
I've got a feeling Tim Vincent did it at one time, so I'm going to try him.
If it is an incorrect answer, you will obviously score the maximum of 100 points. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Tim Vincent. It's good. Down it goes. Oh, that's wonderful. That means only 8 of our 100 people said Tim Vincent. That's a very impressive low score to get this round kicked off. Nicola, what are you going to say?
I'm going to go for Connie Hook.
Connie Huck. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Connie Huck. It's a correct answer. Not bad at all. That means 15 of our 100 people said Connie Huck, and that has given you a score of 15. Richard, Connie Huck.
Connie Huck, she was the longest-serving female presenter on Blue Peter. She was there for 11 years. OK,
on to our third pair. Malcolm, what are you going to say?
Something in the depths of my memory remembers a fella called Christopher Trace.
Christopher Trace.
I'll go for him.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Christopher Trace. Oh, it's good. Oh, it's very good. Look at that. That means only 4 of our 100 people said Christopher Trace. That gives Malcolm and Mike a score of 4. Richard, Christopher Trace.
Yeah, Christopher Trace, that really is deep in the memory. He was one of the original Blue Peter presenters in the very, very first show.
On to our fourth pair. Jason, we are looking for presenters of Blue Peter since 1958.
I think I've got his surname, but I'm not. Mr. Noakes?
Mr. Noakes.
Jonathan Noakes?
Jonathan Noakes. OK, right. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Jonathan Noakes. Ah! Unfortunately, that is a wrong answer, which means you score the maximum of 100 points. OK, we are halfway through the round. Let's see how we're doing on the scores. Well, things are looking pretty good for Malcolm and Mike on a low score of 4. Keep up that low scoring and you're definitely through to the next round. However, Jason and Steve on 100, looking very vulnerable there. You've got to hope that everyone else scores as high as possible and that you maybe find a pointless answer on the next pass. OK, we're going to come back up the line. Will the second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Steve, we are looking for presenters of Blue Peter since 1958. You are our high scorers by a mile. You really need to score as low as you possibly can with this answer.
Well, I'll go back to the same show that Jason is thinking of. I'm not sure I know this guy's name properly, but I think it was Peter Purves.
OK, you're going to go for Peter Purves. You've got to try and score as low as you possibly can if you're going to have any chance of staying in the game. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Peter Purves. It's a correct answer. Well, that means that 39 of our 100 people said Peter Purves. That takes your total up to 139. That means that whatever anyone else scores, they will not overtake your high score. Obviously, the maximum they can score is 100 points, and having 4, 15, and 8 means they are all safe. So I'm afraid that does mean that you, Steve, and Jason will be eliminated at the end of this round. But for the remaining pairs, here's a great chance to look for those pointless answers and add £250 to our jackpot. OK, Mike and Malcolm, we are looking for presenters of Blue Peter since 1958.
I can only think of one, and it was almost given before. John Noakes.
OK, very good. Well, whatever the answer is, you are safe. Let's see how many of our 100 people went with John Noakes. It's the right answer. That takes your total up to 50. Robert and Nicola. Robert, what are you going to say?
I'm going to go for Simon Groom.
Simon Groom. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Simon Groom. Might that be a pointless? Oh, it's not bad. Oh! 7 of our 100 people said Simon Groom. That takes your total up to 22. Right, Ant and Philip. Let's see if we can get a pointless here. Ant. We are looking for presenters of Blue Peter since 1958.
I've got a few in my head, but I'm going to go for this one just because she has a famous daughter, so I'm going to say Janet Ellis.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Janet Ellis. Oh, it's good. Look at that. That means that 13 of our 100 people said Janet Ellis. That takes your total up to 21. So at the end of round 2, the losing pair with the highest score is Jason and Steve. Guys, bad luck.
Very harsh.
It was harsh.
Very harsh.
It was harsh, but fair. It's Jonathan Noakes. John Noakes.
Jonathan, John. Let's rewind.
I know, but he was John with an H, you see. Had he been John without an H, we might have accepted Jonathan, but he was very much a John. Bad luck, though. Excellent. Well, Richard, what answer should they have gone for?
Well, Jonathan Noakes, of course, famously had a dog called Shepperton. There were 3 pointless answers that you could have gone for, 3 that nobody named at all. These would have been great answers. Michael Sundin, who former world trampolining champion. Simon Thomas, who was a presenter till a couple of years ago. He presented the Queen with a gold Blue Peter badge and told her that will get you into the Tower of London for free. So it's quite a good joke, isn't it?
Very good.
Poor old Andy Akinwalere, who's one of the current presenters, along with Helen Skelton, who got 1 point, and Joel de Vries, who got 2 points. The worst answers you could have had, we've already had a couple of them. It's the great triumvirate in the worst answers, I'm afraid. Peter Purvis, who Steve gave us, Valerie Singleton, nobody gave us, and the worst answer at all, the man universally known as Big John, John Noakes, 46.
Thanks, Richard. Jason and Steve, this was your second and final chance on the show. You just didn't have that pointless Blue Peter knowledge you needed to get through to the final. So I'm afraid we have to say goodbye, but thanks so much for playing. It's been great having you on the show. Thank you. Cheers, Jason. But for the remaining 3 pairs, it's time for round 3. Well, obviously, only 2 pairs will make it through to the head-to-head, so this is your final chance. All of you need to find those low-scoring answers to stay in the game. OK, the round 3 category is classic literature. OK, so who's going to go first? Who's going to go second? And whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. Right, let's find out what the question is going to be. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many novels by Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters as they could. Richard, explain a bit more.
Yeah, essentially any complete novel by either Jane Austen or Charlotte, Anne or Emily Bronte. Only 13 novels on that list.
13,
Unlucky, I think, for a couple of the contestants looking at their faces.
Remember, you need to score the fewest points, so you need to give me the answer that the fewest of our 100 people said. All right. Ant.
This is not a good subject, so I'm just going to go with one that I know. So I'm going to go for Mansfield Park.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Mansfield Park. It's the right answer. Not bad. Down it goes. Look at that, 7. That means only 7 of our 100 people said Mansfield Park. A very good low score. Nicola.
Again, not a great subject, but I think I'm going for my middle name, which is Emma.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Emma. There it goes, 16. That means 16 of our 100 people said Emma. That gives you a score of 16. On to our final pair. We are looking for novels by Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters. Malcolm, what's it going to be?
Only know one. Pride and Prejudice.
OK. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Pride and Prejudice. It's the right answer. Well, that means 34 of our 100 people said Pride and Prejudice. We are halfway through the round. Let's see how we're doing on the scoreboard. Well, the team with the lowest score is Philip and Ant again. You keep up that low scoring, Philip and Ant, and you're definitely through to the next round. Malcolm and Mike, looking a little bit vulnerable there on 34. You've just got to try and score as low as you can on the next pass and hope everyone else scores high. OK, we're going to come back down the line. Can the second players please take their places at the podium? OK, Mike, we are looking for novels by Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters. You are the current high scorers on 34. You've got to score as low as you possibly can with this.
The only one I can think of is Sense and Sensibility.
OK. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Sense and Sensibility. This has got to be a low score for you. That takes your score up to 50. OK, Robert and Nicola. Robert, you are currently on 16. The high scorers at the moment are Mike and Malcolm on 50. To be absolutely safe, you have to score 33 or less. Otherwise, you will become the high scorers and could be eliminated.
So no pressure then?
Absolutely none.
I'm hoping the Bronte sisters wrote Wuthering Heights, because if they didn't, I'm kind of stuffed.
Of course, if it is an incorrect answer, you will score the maximum of 100 points. There is the red line. Below that red line, you are definitely in the next round. Above that red line, things are looking a little bit shaky. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Wuthering Heights. Well, it's good. Oh, ho, ho. 42. That means 42 of our 100 people said Wuthering Heights. That brings your total up to 58. You are now our high scorers. That means Malcolm and Mike are definitely through to the next round. Phew. OK, on to our final pair. Philip and Ant. Philip, your turn. To be safe, you have to score 50 or less. Philip, what's it going to be?
I'm hoping Northanger Abbey is one of theirs. Give that a go.
OK, Northanger Abbey. There is our red line. You have to come below that red line to stay in the game. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Northanger Abbey. It's good. You're through. Well done. Good and low. That means 9 of our 100 people said Northanger Abbey. That brings your total up to an impressively low 16. So at the end of round 3, the losing pair with the highest score are Nicola and Robert. Bad luck. Why was Wuthering Heights scoring so high? Sense and Sensibility? Pride and Prejudice?
Yeah.
Richard, any answers they should have given?
I was going to say that was, apart from Wuthering Heights, that was all Jane Austen novels, wasn't it? I think we had 5.
Yeah, we had no other Bronte.
The only Jane Austen novel we missed was Persuasion, which would have scored you 6 points, was the lowest scoring Jane Austen novel. But the lowest 3 of all, there was one pointless, Charlotte Bronte's Villette, which is the only novel she published under her own name. And then 2 Anne Bronte novels, Agnes Grey and The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. If we look at the worst answers you could have given, the third worst answer was...
Jane Eyre.
Jane Eyre, exactly right. And we've already had the top 2. Malcolm gave us Pride and Prejudice. And Robert, of course, gave us Wuthering Heights, Emily Bronte's only novel, only finished novel.
Very good. Well, thanks, Richard. OK, Nicola and Robert, you've wasted one of your chances to get through to the pointless final. We have to say goodbye for today, but we'll see you next time for your last chance. Thank you so much for playing. You've been great. But for the remaining 2 pairs, things are going to get even more exciting now as we enter the head-to-head. Well done, Malcolm and Mike, Philip and Ant. You've made it through to the head-to-head. Now, only one pair can make it through to today's final and play for today's jackpot, which currently stands at £3,500. OK, here's how the head-to-head works. You are now allowed to confer. Each team will take turns to give me an answer, and you'll each have an equal number of turns. The first team that accumulates more than 100 points, or the team that goes over 100 by the most, will lose. So, as always, to stay in the game, you want to score as few points as possible by saying the answers that the fewest of our 100 people gave. OK, Philip and Ant, you performed best over the first 3 rounds, so not only do you get to decide whether or not you go first, you also get to choose the topic, and your choice is between chemistry or beautiful Britain.
I think go for chemistry.
Yeah, we're going to go for chemistry.
OK, and would you like to go first or second?
First? Yeah. I would like to go first, please.
Let's play Pointless. Right, so let's find out what the question's going to be. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many gases that make up air as they could. Richard.
We're looking for any of the gases that make up air. If you got rid of all the pollutants, all the suspended particles and water vapour that are in the atmosphere, what are the gases that make up air? There are 13 gases that make up our air.
Thank you very much, Richard. Now remember, you don't want to go over 100, so you want to score the lowest number of points each time. What are those gases that make up air that nobody could think of? All right, Philip and Ant, you're going first. What's it going to be? You sure? Do you want to say?
Okay. We're going to take a wild stab at argon.
If it is a wrong answer, you will score the maximum of 100 points. Let's see how many of our 100 people said argon. Good. Ooh, down it goes. Look at that. 24. That means 24 of our 100 people said argon. That gives you, after one answer, a score of 24. OK, Malcolm and Mike, your first answer, please. We are looking for the gases that make up air.
We're going to try xenon.
Xenon. Let's see how many of our 100 people said xenon. Well, it's a right answer. It's good, look at that. That means 9 of our 100 people said xenon. That's given you a score of 9. OK, you've each given your first answer. The scores at the moment are Philip and Ant on 24, Malcolm and Mike on 9. Philip and Ant, your next answer has to score 76 or less to avoid going over 100.
We're not 100% sure, so we're going to go for...
Neon.
That red line there is your safety line. Below that, and you stay below 100 points and avoid getting eliminated at the end of this round. Let's see how many of our 100 people said neon. It's correct. You're safe. Down it goes. Very good. That means 13 of our 100 people said neon. That takes your score up to 37. OK. Your second answer, please, Malcolm and Mike. If you score over 91, you are off the show.
Total flyer. Ozone.
Ozone. If it is an incorrect answer, you will score the maximum of 100 points. You have to score 91 or less to stay on the show. There's the red line. You have to be below that red line. Let's see how many of our 100 people said ozone. It's good. It's very good. Look at that. That means 8 of our 100 people said ozone. That takes your total up to 17. Now, you've each answered twice. The scores now are Philip and Ant on 37, Malcolm and Mike lagging beautifully behind on 17. Philip and Ant, your next answer, please. You are currently on 37. You have to score 63 or less to avoid going over 100. This has to be a low score for you. We're looking for gases that make up air.
We're going to try krypton and hope it's in there.
You're going to go for krypton?
Yeah.
And really hope it's in there. If it is not in there, if it is an incorrect answer, you will score 100 points, of course. Below that red line, and you are definitely still in the game. Above that red line, and you risk being eliminated. Let's see how many of our 100 people said krypton. It's good. You're safe. Down it goes. Look at that, 7. Very good. That means 7 of our 100 people said krypton. That takes your score up to 44. OK, Malcolm and Mike, your third answer, please.
We'll go for radon.
Radon. You are currently on 17. To avoid going over the 100, you have to score 83 or less. You're going for radon. There is the red line. You have to come below that red line to avoid being eliminated. Let's see how many of our 100 people said radon. That, I'm afraid, is an incorrect answer, and that scores you the maximum of 100 points. You've had 3 turns each, and Malcolm and Mike, I'm afraid you have gone over 100 points. I'm afraid that means you are off the show. You were doing so well, though. Radon, so nice in a bath. So wrong in this question. Are there any other ones you can think of now?
Well, we've got 2 big ones, oxygen, hydrogen.
Yeah.
Nitrogen.
Richard.
Yeah, there were no pointless answers at all. Best possible answers you could have given: nitrous oxide, which only 3 people said. There are traces of sulfur dioxide in the air. 7 people said krypton. Let's take a look at the most obvious answers, the worst answers you could have given. Third would have been it's the most common gas in the air, which is nitrogen, which would have scored you 75 points. Carbon dioxide was second. And anybody, the top answer?
Oxygen.
Oxygen, yeah, I would have got, that's what I would have gone for, oxygen.
99.
That would have got, yeah.
I should like to meet that one person who didn't put oxygen. Very good, thanks, Richard. OK, Malcolm and Mike, you've wasted one of your chances to get through to the pointless final. We have to say goodbye for today, but we'll see you next time for your last chance. Thanks so much for playing. Lovely to have you on the show. But for Philip and Ant, it's time for our pointless final. Congratulations, Philip and Ant. It's only your first time on the show and you've made it to the end of Pointless. You've fought off all the competition and you've won our coveted Pointless trophy. Now you've got a chance to win our Pointless jackpot. Today's jackpot now stands at £3,500. OK, the rules are very simple. To win the money, all you have to do is find a pointless answer that none of our 100 people could think of. Now, we've only had one pointless answer today, and that was given by you, Philip. All you've got to do is find another one. First, you must choose a category from these 3 options, and you can go for Oscar winners, world geography, or Arthurian legend.
I like geography, but I'm not sure.
I've never heard of Arthurian legend.
It's King Arthur. So,
yeah,
we'll rule that one out. Oscar, we're not very good at Oscar winners, I think.
Only of modern stuff, which would be quite popular, I'd imagine.
I'd rather go for world geography, but that's just me.
Let's go for world geography.
Right.
You're going to go
yeah.
for world geography. OK,
Yes,
let's find out what the question is. So, we gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many French-speaking countries as they could. Richard, elaborate.
Yeah, this is any country, which is obviously a sovereign state in the UN, which lists French as one of its official or administrative languages. There are 27 countries that use French as an official or administrative language. OK, you now have up to 1 minute to come up with 3 answers, and all you need to win that £3,500 is for just one of those answers to be pointless. Your 60 seconds start now. Good luck.
I'm not very good at this.
I know Mauritius does because...
Mauritius is not an official one, no, English is the official.
But it's any language, it doesn't have to be official.
It doesn't have to be official.
Sorry.
Is it?
Does it have to be the one official language?
It has to be an official language.
Official, so it could be a country that has 2 official languages?
Possibly somewhere in Africa, such as not Ghana, one of the former French colonies.
South America as well. Do they speak French?
No, they're more Spanish. In the Caribbean, they're mostly Spanish as well. French, I think French.
20 seconds left.
Burkina Faso, I don't... Oh, Côte d'Ivoire. They must be French. They got a French name.
They must do.
Should we try Mauritius, Côte d'Ivoire, and...
what about like Mozambique? Do they speak French?
They're Portuguese.
No, are they?
And your time is up.
Yeah, we could try it.
OK. Which 3 answers are you going to go for?
We're going to go for Côte d'Ivoire.
Côte d'Ivoire.
Mauritius.
Mauritius.
And Monaco.
Monaco. Let's put them up on the board. OK, so Côte d'Ivoire, Mauritius, and Monaco. Right, let's see how many of our 100 people went with your first answer of Côte d'Ivoire. Remember, we are looking for countries that have French as an official language. This is for the jackpot of £3,500. It has to be a pointless answer. We have to hope that none of our 100 people got Côte d'Ivoire. Down it goes. This for £3,500. Down it goes, it's good. Oh! That means 4 of our people said that, so unfortunately that is not a pointless answer. However, you do have 2 more chances. Remember, we are looking for countries that have French as an official language. Let's try your next answer, which is Mauritius. We have to hope that none of our 100 people went with Mauritius. Let's see how many people did. You have 2 chances remaining. One of them has to be a pointless answer. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Mauritius. Oh! That is an incorrect answer, so it is also not a pointless answer. You now have only 1 chance left to win today's jackpot. We've really got to hope that none of our 100 people went with your 3rd answer, which was Monaco. Remember, we are looking for countries that have French as an official language. For today's jackpot, which is £3,500. Okay, let's see if none of our 100 people maybe remembered Monaco. Okay, down it goes. This is your last chance to win £3,500. It has to be pointless. Unfortunately, you didn't manage to find that all-important pointless answer, so you don't win today's jackpot of £3,500, which rolls over to our next show. So, Richard, put them out of their misery.
Yeah, well, during your discussions, distinctly heard you say Burkina Faso.
Oh, I did. Oh, no. Oh, great.
If you'd gone with Burkina Faso, you just would have won £3,500.
Did you have to tell us that?
Yeah.
There were 8 pointless answers in all. They're all African countries. You could have had Benin, Burkina Faso, as you know, Burundi. There's also one. Our old friend Central African Republic.
Djibouti.
The Comoros, Djibouti, Mali, and Rwanda. All pointless answers. Burkina Faso is so close.
Bad luck. Well, you've been fantastic contestants. You've done so well. You've scored, as I said, the only pointless on the show. Well done to you, and thanks so much for being on the show. So nobody has won our jackpot today, so it rolls over to our next show. Join us then to see if someone can win it on Pointless. Meanwhile, it's goodbye from Richard.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from me. Goodbye.